Good morning. Welcome back to another episode. What are we up to? We are building out our piece editor. And we're making progress. It's slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Pick something. So where did we get to yesterday? Was a bunch of buttons that call a callback when you click them, but they're not doing anything relevant yet. Right. So what we're imagining is little like previews of your 8 pieces in here, and then we're gonna have a grid here that you can click on to do things, right? So there's gonna be a 5x5 grid here. As you're clicking that, it updates our thing in memory. And then I wonder if save and exit makes sense. I haven't really thought about the usage of this yet in any sort of real detail. That's what I imagine. You click here, it loads in what that piece currently looks like. You do your update. You click save, and it then sticks it in there. A bit of a rubbish way to do it, though. So what happens if I go click another one? So maybe save should really be cancel. Like we assume that's what you want, and if you click cancel, it resets it. Then exit basically keeps everything you've currently got in these buttons. I might do that, actually. All right, so we're going to change save to cancel, which resets the one that you're currently doing. And then we're going to put in place our 5x5 grid. And I think we'll do the same thing. We'll get to a place where we can register callbacks with each of the buttons so they know which one's been clicked. And then, yeah. We'll work out what we do. I guess we're going to have like a piece filled data array in memory or something that we update. We'll get there. All right, so first things first, let's find where I've done save. We're about to discover why I should have taken the time to write like a flexbox thing. Because if I change the number of buttons, I'm going to have to rewrite all this, which would be mildly annoying. Edit, cancel on click is because edit. Save is actually named over here. And I missed a couple. All right. Sorted. Shall we draw our grid next? We're in the right file. So main menu, popular entities, edit screen, popular entities. So what is there to say in here? What kind of side panel being done in all this bit? Say here, oops, like main grid, or whatever we're going to call it. That's going to have made a bunch of noise in my diff, so let's whack that refactoring in quickly. And then let's have a pause. So what do we actually need? We're going to need buttons. It's a new type of button, right? Because it doesn't look like either of these other buttons. Because a piece button is going to need to know like what its filled values are, so we can show the preview. Whereas these will be what? I guess I'll just have a fill. Right, like our proper grid spaces, they're just a rectangle with a texture associated. Oops. So what does that say there? To do layout grid of buttons. Call them filled buttons, I guess. Confusing, I used filled for that. Textured buttons, maybe? Go with that. And we're going to basically just copy all of our piece stuff and see what we end up with. There's a chance that we could end up pulling out some shared data structures for these things, but I'm not sure what we're going to just yet. I guess on-click, hovered, some obvious things, right? Textured button entity. First, we'll just take position and dimension, and it'll return an entity. Pos is pos, dim is dim. Clickable will be true. On click will want to be passed in. Type needs adding. And textured button entity data will need adding. And they blow up. I don't know if any of you have written a lot of Odin watching this, but I'd be keen to hear if there's a nicer pattern for doing all of these sorts of things, because I'm kind of just making this up as I go. Kind of union with a... Why are you angry? There's an enum on it. Seems to be the kind of pattern I think I fall into quite regularly. Textured button entity data. I get why you're angry. Because I've not defined the type yet. Yep. Yeah. That's not defining it, is it? Let's go here. Apologies. This problem with having to do these things like right early in the morning. I feel like my brain doesn't quite spin up until we're part way through already. I think I have something called like texture data. Textured button. We'll go reuse that. We'll find that somewhere. Right. I thought I had a type for that now. Search. I thought we'd get all of it. Grid. Width. Base. Asterisk. Grid. Height. Oh, did I not? The other one's the other way around. Grid. Height times grid width. No. Confused. Alright, let's not get distracted. Oh no, tell a lie. That's the type I thought I was using. Piece data. Piece width. Ah. Haha. Interesting. Hmm. That's the thing. Should we be reusing our grid drawing? I don't know. Where are you being used? Drawable. Data equals grid entity data is being called inside of grid entity. That's going to get just called inside of the game screen bit, right? Yeah. They are similar in that they look similar. They are different in that one's got buttons and the other doesn't. And this one's likely to end up needing to handle like hovering, whether that's with a border or with a different texture. Hmm. So I guess in our draw entities bit, which will be in drawable, I think. Might be able to reuse draw grid. So what do you do? Draw grid cells, entity pos, entity dim, grid dim, data cells as an active piece. Empty texture. Build texture data. Build texture data. Yeah, I reckon we might have a different entity that then called draw grid. Grid essentially the same. We're just going to be filling in different data. And we could put in data to represent hovered states and stuff if we need to add them. Hmm. Interesting. I mean, yeah, there's a fair bit of fuss in here, isn't there? It'd be nice to not rewrite it all or copy paste it all. Yeah, there's our texture data down there. What have I done with that? Have I just got a... Yeah, it's just a function to say, read it off by position, got you. Interesting. Okay, so let's try that then. Oh, what does that mean for us then? We might have invisible entities and then a grid. Should we just draw a grid? Ah, making those two disconnected also feels like a mess though, doesn't it? I'm not sure what the best thing to do is. Because one thing that's unpleasant is this grid has all of these active piece things in. We could just nil them out. But it does feel a bit of a wart. So maybe what we end up with is an edit grid entity. And we'll see if we can pull any of this stuff here out. Cells. Okay. Let's just keep plodding along here. Does that mean then these buttons aren't the right way to go? Okay, should we rethink? Should we make a... Yeah, because my original thinking was I would do a bunch, like 25 individual buttons, and then just lay them manually out as a grid. I guess what we might want instead is an edit grid entity that kind of contains everything like the game grid entity does. Alright, back that back. That will have confused my language server, so let's give that a quick kick. I think this is what we're going to go with. You know, these. Oh my god. And if we just hop up quickly, grid entity takes a filled grid. We might as well reuse that verbiage, right? Set up. Something like that. Right. So somewhere up here, I think we'll have our... Or is it going to be in the game, Odin? Main menu one with the edit screen entities. That should... are to do. Worth just sticking one in so we can see it. Let's go ahead and say entity push an edit grid entity positions are 0, 0. Nope, because that's not how I've done it. Pos x is 0, y is 0. A dim of x is, oh my goodness, 400. Y is 400. That's not how pos and dim work. And then you're missing something, and then filled grid, which I'll have to grab off of some state, I suspect. I'm trying to cough in the mic less, but I just seems to have had a cold that's lasted for months at this point. I don't know what's the matter with me. We have game, don't we? Let's just nil that out for now. I'm going to say here, so filled probably needs to live on the edit screen state. If we do that, try build a. Oh yeah, you don't do anything yet. That was silly, wasn't it? Alright, we now need to work out what this thing returns. Where are all our types? Back to this. I'm going to call it an edit grid. Edit grid entity data. Edit grid. Entity data. I'm going to pull out this type alias for this because we're going to be using it again and again. Hey? That's not what I wanted. Because that needs escaping. These probably need escaping. There you go. In game.odin and entity.odin both use it. It feels more closely attached to that. So let's take a type alias in here, I guess. Oh, I don't remember how to do a type alias. Can I just say grid data is this? That's how it is. Grid width times grid height int. And then we can swap you out for a grid data. And then where's my here gone? Go through here, grid data. And check it builds. Doesn't build, but it's because of the switch statements missing things. And to do not returning anything. So let's come back to here. You, sir. Turn. Entity. Pos is pos. Dim is dim. Type is edit grid, and data is data. What's going in data is filled grid. Did I not put that on there? I did not. Okay. Is filled grid the right name for it? I call it grid data because I think that's what I've just called the type. Back to there. Edit grid entity data is okay. That's all passed through. Finally finds us our switch that's not got what's it filled in. Come in here and we say case dot edit grid draw edit grid from its entity. Begs the next question of where does that go? Draw game panel, and we will stick it in just after. Do you do a bunch of stuff in here? Right. Oh no, they look like they're more generic, don't they? Right, let's go in here. Here's a proc that takes an entity. Yeah. I got to do that casting because I always forget. It's data. Is an entity data cast like that? I think for the first thing to do, oopsie daisy. No, okay, there you go. Let's just draw the rectangle over where it is. So draw rect, bright red, entity position, entity dimension. We need a Z. We just do one of them. That seems the wrong file, doesn't it? Keep going. There it is. So, our grid to be. I don't want to worry too much about positioning, so I think we're going to have the same task that we had on the game screen to kind of get it nicely centered while keeping it square, because I think it looks silly if it's not square. Apologies. But first, I think the more interesting thing is getting all the buttons in. Now, what's the best way to do that? Green dim, grid dim, cells. Because reusing draw grid cells seems like an obvious win. Right? With a peace button. Where did I even use that? Is that what I was going to do first and I ended up not doing? Yeah, go. So I guess we might end up with an entity type invisible button. That might be the way to do this. So we draw the grid, then we also draw our buttons. And we just need to make the two line up. Try and tidy this up a little bit. Oh my goodness, it's not that, it's that, bugger. Alright, let's go put them all back. Specifically that bit I want to put back. That bit I want to keep. That bit I want to keep. That bit I want to put back. Edit grid entity I want to keep. Keep. Discard that bit. Keep that bit. Discard that bit. Keep that bit. Make it runs. I've made a mess now, haven't I? Okay. Undeclared name. Edit grid. Or entity type. Uh, is that true? It is true. Edit grid. Why just fuck this all up? Okay, there we go. Okay, we're back to where we were. Christ, Matt. You know what? I'm going to take that as a nudge. I'm going to go get a cup of tea. Because that was all slightly embarrassing. So, be back in 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. What was I saying? Got our rectangle. Really, what we would like to do, we would like to call in our drawable function, draw grid. Save ourselves the hassle of working that all out again. What does draw grid actually take? Actually, that's what the thing we want is this one. Draw grid cells. Oops. Better my little Emacs movements. All right, so you need a pos, which we've got on our entity. Dim, which we'll have on our entity. Grid dim. Not sure what goes in there. Cells. The slice of ints we should have on our data, I think. Turn into a slice. Then Z. Go with grid cell Z. What is grid dim? Values being passed in the other places called grid width, grid height. Cool. That's a fair point. R1 is not the same as the game one, is it? So good job, me. Making a thing that you can actually use. You are actually going to be width is piece height. Or width even. Put them in there. What does that look like? Enormous. How on earth does it look like that? Interesting. Look, inside of draw grid cells, it works out. Ah, you take a screen dim. How do I get back? Where was I? I was in here. That's not an entity dim. Because the grid then works out where to put itself. Debug color. Build texture. Oh, sorry. Build debug color. Anyway, by the looks of it. Must have to grid dim dot width. Entity dim should be what I want there then, right? Because I'm telling it where I actually like where the grid is going. Like how big is it on the screen? Why just giving it numbers that don't make sense? I keep getting here. Where am I setting this? Data equals all of that. What am I passing in for dim? 400 by 400. Personally, if I make that smaller, interesting. So tall. Da 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 da. Piece width, piece height. Is there something in here that's using the grid width directly or the grid height? LDIM equals what it equals. Get some texture datas. For value and index in cells. You can grid dim width. Dim width. And it gets screen pos plus col index col dim width col. Right, row index cell dim height. That will seem kind of reasonable, isn't it? Then draw sprite takes a cell pos, a cell dim, a Z. Hold. Am I passing in the I'm in game.odin. That thing is empty. Jump to here. Filled grid is a grid data, and that is full grid. That's my problem. I also need a piece data. Might already exist. Does already exist. Yeah, my grid needs a piece data, not a grid data. The reason it's got way too many tiles is I'm passing in the full grid worth of tiles, where what it needs is the piece worth of tiles. So you should be a C, something like that. Who blew up? Line 205. Data. Piece data. It's tiny. How did I make you tiny? Probably just passing in tiny numbers. Edit. Grid. Right. Got a rectangle. That's probably on me too. If we go back to drawable, am I drawing that rectangle over the top of it? Get rid of that. Et voila. Okay. So we've got our non-interactive grid. Is that what I was doing for empty on the... Yeah, I'm assuming zero index must be empty. That's not the sort of thing past me would have done. So that red colour is empty. Then fill in other ints to get these other colors. Right. Right. Sip of tea. Sniffing in the mic again. I really should listen back and check if you can hear me slurping, so I bet that's horrible. Okay, so we can now draw a grid. That grid data isn't set meaningfully anywhere, and we have no way to update it. I don't think we can update it till it's represented somewhere, so let's go update the state. I've cocked this up a few times though, so I'm going to quickly go stage another checkpoint. That's a useful point for us to be able to get back to. Right, did I leave it to do? I did not. So what is there to say? It's my edit screen has this data associated with it, right? So when you come onto the edit screen, does it sit above edit screen? That's an interesting thought. Right, because how do you put this then into the game? I think this actually doesn't sit in edit screen. I think this sits higher than edit screen. Unless we have one in edit screen that you update and one higher that when you click save, we update. Right, so if we've got our UI, we're in here, I click this one, I do some editing, I click this one, I do some editing. I change my mind, I click cancel, we drop all the changes. I click exit. Maybe exit should be called save. Who knows? But when you click exit, this all then saves to that global memory so that when you go into your game, we can read the pieces. So, what does that mean? I think we can do it locally only first. So I click a piece. If I make changes, those changes are immediately reflected in that piece. Cancel drops all of the changes that we've made to the set, and exit saves them. And then we'll worry about that exit saving them to a higher level of state, kind of higher up our app hierarchy later, I guess. Oh, should we do that straight away and plumb it into game? Maybe. I'm trying to think, am I better off going from the bottom up or the top down? Right? Am I better off making this screen work and then plumbing the rest of it all together? Or am I better off starting with what the game actually needs as inputs and then working back down? I'm thinking maybe I should start with what the game uses as inputs and come down, because otherwise if I guess wrong, I'm gonna end up having to rewrite a load of stuff. This isn't that complicated, you can probably do either. Okay, let's try that sort of global state thing, because we've not got any state across all our screens yet. So what I want is some state that's active across all of our screens, which says what our pieces are, and then the game can read from that global state. When this screen updates that global state, it'll affect the game. Let's do that. I guess game.odin, we come up to the top. Call it global state. Worse names. Let's go ahead and say global state will be a struct. What are we doing with it? It will have pieces. We have some stuff around this already. What's peace buffer? Not used. Really not used? Yeah, really not used. Peace count. Not used. Cool. The game state currently has a peace buffer on it. Ah, okay. Clearly at some point I thought about making it a global. I guess that's the other thing we do for globals. We just make a global variable. Is that mad? I don't know. With max pieces. It's a shame for this to be separate from these, doesn't it? Trick. Do something like pieces is max. Pieces. Piece or whatever it was. Piece. Build. Bounding dim. Rot center. I've called it peace buffer. Peace count. Sorry, I'm trying to think. I think there's a thing you can do where you can come in here, take these out. You can say using global state. And that way you can sort of share fields across different structs rather than having to have separate fields for them. Where is it? There we go, overview. Wondering if that might be the actual pattern we want to use here. Escape characters. Dynamic array. Not the right thing. Structs. Access through a pointer. Struct literals. Yada yada yada. Struct directives. Struct field tags. Used for like encoding and decoding hints. Maps, bit fields. Maybe this isn't worth worrying about. There we go. Using statement with structs. Can be used like this. Entity members can be brought into the procedure scope by using it. Can also be applied to subfields by the using statement to the struct fields directly, making the field's position appear as if they are on entity itself. Kind of their version of inheritance, right? Using position vector 3. Confused that it needs a name still. But you can still refer to its position, can you? Is that interesting? That seems like it works. Hmm. Interesting. Although, is that a bit of a trap? But that's putting the fields onto this struct. I'm still making a new copy of that struct when I move between things though, right? So when I go from my main menu to my game, I create a game state. I don't think this is saying I have a pointer back to these fields. This is saying that the two structures happen to have the same field, so you'd have to manually copy those values across. I think it'd be nicer if there is some global thing for it to just be global. All right, let me bin that change off then. But hey, we learned a thing, so that's nice. Piece buffer, max piece is piece, and a piece count. Be an int. Then yeah, like I say, I think game state. Well, we can either just copy it across on initializing, or you can point to it. Let's come in here and say, so we've got our global state. We just call it global. Do a bit of typing. Have this. Currently doesn't blow up or anything. Let's try having it so instead of these being on here at all, they will point to the top. So piece buffer, piece count, gone. Who breaks? Initial game state breaks because those fields now need to live in our global state. Yeah, that makes sense. So bang you down here, bang you down here, and bang those in there. Like that. Game screen, game state. Like that. Nope, still not there. Silly typo. You then game update. Still has a pointer through to the full game. Game state.next piece is game. Global, and you are game.global. Alright, so that's worked. That's lifted thing up. Cool. Cool. And we're initializing it to that same thing. Somewhere in here we have init game. With our kind of default list. Can I split these? It's probably not. Max pieces, piece 1, piece 2, piece 3. Apologies. Yeah, and then we have our hard-coded initial values. Okay. What are we doing with that then? Well, that was step one. Right, we've now got our global state, and we are passing through the game. We will be using that on our edit state. Just copy the naming. That's a point. You can just turn them on and off, can't you? Which you've not thought about yet. It might even be that we say this doesn't take a piece count. It always shows all of them. Or just say if you make them empty, they're not included. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, so let's go with that for now. Now edit state needs a piece buffer on it, and while that will blow up somewhere, it didn't blow up somewhere. That's annoying, because everything gets 0 initialized. Where are you getting made? Initial edit state. Ah, we can't have an initial edit state. That used anywhere? It's not used anywhere yet. Initial edit state actually depends on game state. Right. Turns an edit state. Its buffer equals game global. Its buffer. Like that. Cool. I guess we can go find where we're using this number. Game screen equals that. Bin that off. Game dot state is equal to initial edit state from game. Cool. Cool. Alright, so we've now got our list of pieces being passed in. We would like to show them in our piece buttons. Currently, the piece buttons just don't do anything. That live then. Have a quick look. Piece entity. Piece entity. Right, so piece button entity already takes piece data. Who's calling it? Am I being blind? There we go. So main game Odin is calling that. Currently just hard coding one in. What we actually want to do. What do we actually want to do? we have our piece index. We have our global state. I assume that's available to us at this point. Yep, so we've got game. So what we actually want to do, say in here, I guess it's slightly awkward, isn't it? Because we're going to have stuff above the current thing. I'm going to pull out a piece data. Say here that piece data is equal to what? Game global piece buffer at piece index when piece index is less than game global piece count, else quite angry. Expected a constant Boolean condition in ternary. No, I can't do that. You have to just be an if. Yeah. When is the kind of like compile type version, isn't it? Am I mumbling? No, my level says I'm okay. I find it really hard to tell. There's I don't know. People tell you with these mics, you have to keep them really near your mouth. I think there's something about it being really near your mouth makes you want to talk really quietly. But I noticed in my first few videos I made, I don't know. You just kind of sound rubbish if you talk quietly. It's hard to judge though. I feel like everyone hates the sound of themselves being recorded. So I'm sure if anybody happens to ever see this chunk of this video, you can tell me how terrible I sound. Yeah, can I just do that? Why does that not work? Not assign value of type piece. It's a piece data. There we go. Oops. That. Try and build. Does build. Doesn't blow up. Yeah, I think that's worth making the fuss, because I think if we don't handle the fact that there may be kind of garbage data in that buffer, you might end up seeing things in your edit screen that weren't there when you're in your game screen. So by passing through empty, I think we just have our UI go, before I do anything, I check those 25 values, and if they aren't all empty, we draw the piece. If they are all empty, maybe we show like an X or something. Or maybe we just show them empty. Okay. Where are we up to then? So that bit there is now not blowing up. We're creating a piece with our piece data on it. We now need to go to where we're drawing, which I think would be in here. There's draw piece. There ain't no draw piece. Calling piece button entity. Can I go find draw button? Draw entity in nya. And that's why, because we're not caring about it yet. Can we just do draw grid cells again? It seemed to work for us before, didn't it? Draw grid cells. Or entity. Not pos. Entity.dim. Grid dimensions are width equals piece. Width, height equals piece. Height. And data.cells. You a grid cell Z. You're now piece data on the cells. And we don't have an active piece, so solve that. Oh, wrong button. Didn't do anything. Because we're just drawing over the top of it. Hey, that doesn't look too bad, does it? That shows our pieces. That's kind of nice. So the next thing to do would be to say when I click one of these, update the state to know which one I'm editing and put the things in here. Oh, this is all quite laborious, isn't it? That just me being stupid about not building some sort of like layout algorithm, doing it all very manually. Possibly. Okay, there is another point about this, which is we've not handled the fact that your rotation point. So, you notice how these are all snug to the bottom left? That's because our game logic requires that the version it's using is snug to the bottom left. Whereas our editor down here needs to be able to show where the rotation point is. Which means that I might, for example, draw this square up here and then put the rotation point down here. This thing be off screen. So actually, the translation from here to here isn't as trivial as it sounds. Similarly, the translation from this back into the global state when I click save won't be trivial. Okay. Checking the time. I think I've got to go about 7:30. So that might be where we get to today. Okay. I think that's some decent progress. What can we do next time? Let's try and plan a little bit. We've got all our buttons. I think the next thing to do is to say when I click one of these, I need to update this. Yeah, should we start being a little bit less chaotic about this? Let's go make some short-term plans in the README. I'm just going to bin these because they've been on there forever. All right, so we're currently doing the piece editor. I think the next thing to do is click piece button. Show it's the selected piece and initialize the edit grid. Then I think the next thing to do after that is to make buttons in the edit grid work. Make clicking in the edit grid update piece. What else is there to say? Make clicking intersections in the edit grid set the rotation center. We haven't thought about that at all yet, have we? Yes. Save and using game. And that's that chunk done. Oh, we're gonna have to make the edit grid. Positioning and sizing of the edit grid. We can work that out though. That's not hard. Okay. Cool. I'm going to call that a day. I'm going to have to go remix this video and upload it and everything. And I think I'll be out of time. Another bit of fun, though. Enjoyed that one. I will commit what we're up to towards piece editing. And I will catch you in the next one. See you later.